Hello, Melanie.
Hello, welcome, thank you.
Tell us, what do you do?
What do I do? Well, I actually run a company called Conscious Sexuality.
Wow.
But in yes, I know, good, great title, I think.
Yeah.
But actually, I actually have focused on teaching women in particular how to love themselves, and I run a program called Being in Love with You. Oh, I know, isn't it gorgeous?
Tell me more.
So, I think often we've heard this, phrase we've been told, love yourself. We all know that it's the thing we should do. And very often, um, we can say the words, I love you. We even say those words to our partners, but very often, do we actually feel it? Do we actually feel deep down that we love ourselves and we love others? Um, and I found that actually loving is actually a very embodied experience. It's very much a case of when you connect to your body and your heart, that you actually can experience loving rather than actually just saying the words. So I have women in particular, but I work with men too. But I teach women how to connect to their bodies, talk to their bodies, love their bodies, touch their bodies.
Wow.
And the experience then people generally get is a connection to really loving themselves because of that.
Wow. I can't wait to hear more about that. I just like heard that little snippet. So you also work with men if they want.
Yes, I work with men more on a one-to-one basis at the moment.
Okay.
At some point, I will be designing programs, I think, for a mixed or a male environment. But my
Yeah.
focus at the moment
So
is
for
more
women, you
women.
do like groups as well. So you do one-on-one and groups. Okay,
Yeah,
tell me more. Tell me more. It's like I've been
which
reading. I've,
bit?
I've been reading about I think David Schnarch is a researcher and he kind of talks about relationships and it's this amazing process of like being able to enjoy yourself. And it's just like it just opened a lot for me that I could like enjoy myself with someone else versus focusing on the other person, either pleasing them or making sure that they feel good. Like the
Yeah,
whole world still mind blown.
it's beautiful what you've said there. You've touched on something again we talk a lot about in our programs and in our one-to-one sessions, which is consent. But consent, we often think of just saying yes or no, but actually, there's a whole world of consent. So when you are offering to give to someone, are you offering to give 100% unconditionally with all your heart? Or are you giving thinking, when am I going to get my turn? Or, I'm fed up
Oh,
because he always asks me to do this and I don't want to do it anymore. But you say yes and you don't really want to do it. And how much that very often gets in the way, first of all, of the experience, but also of you being connected to you and being present in the moment. So why I called it conscious sexuality is because of this conscious piece. How often are we really present in the moment when we either touch ourselves, be with
oh my God.
ourselves, or when we be with others?
Yeah.
And so very often in life we're not. We're thinking resentful thoughts like, why am I doing this? Why I don't really want to do it. I'm not getting much from it.
I'm just closing the door.
It's all right. Or we're thinking about things we've got to do that day. Like, I've got to do the shopping or I've got to go and do some work and very often we're just not present. We're not present with ourselves. And if we're not
Wow.
present with ourselves, how can we be present with our partners?
Oh my God. So that's not just about like physical intimacy. It's just like it's about every aspect of your life, really.
Oh yeah, I definitely all the women I've worked with so far have experienced like it makes a huge difference in their lives too. Like their friendships improve with people because they're present with them.
Oh my God.
They actually start making powerful requests and actually when they say yes to something they mean it or they say no.
What's a powerful request?
Well, as in, like saying, asking for something. So I'm going to use a sexual sort of connotation. So if you're with a partner,
And by the way, this is all going to be PG rated. So this
yes,
is safe
no,
for
I
your
get
kids, everybody.
that. So I'm gonna say a
Just
PG.
letting the viewers know.
But it's saying a sexual context. Say you're with your partner, and you really want them to, I don't know, massage your shoulders.
Mhm.
Do you actually ask for that? Or do you sort of maybe offer to massage them a bit in
Or you're just
order
going to
to get
massage
the
yourself.
massage back?
Yeah.
So very often we offer to give things in order to get it back. That's not necessarily, it's not powerful, it's not in consent because you're not giving wholeheartedly, unconditionally. You're
Mm.
giving in order to get something back.
Yeah.
And very often your partner will sense it, even if they don't ever say anything.
Ouch.
Yes, I know. People really cringe at that one, but that is a really powerful thing to get. Like, when a lot of the times we're not making those requests. We're hoping, and I think women also we can have this tendency of thinking that the man should read our minds, like they should know what we want.
Wow.
But we don't actually ask. And I think the source of not asking comes from many places as well. It comes from, can we ask, like the consent and boundaries piece, but also, do we know what we want? Very often we just don't know what we want, and that's because often we're disconnected from our bodies. If we don't know what pleasure's ours or what enjoyment we get from our body, how can we ask for it?
Yeah.
So there's
How do you get to know what you
so that's why I do a 12-week program. Well, in this new program, I've split it up into two lots of six because it's over the summer. But I think it takes time to really connect to your body and start to notice what your body likes, what it doesn't. Your body can speak to you. Did you know that? And very often we override it with the other voice, like I talk about it as voices. So we have a very strong head voice, right? And
Mm.
we're very, particularly in the Western society, we're very head focused. We're taught, to use our brains, our heads all the time. We analyze all the time,
Yeah.
and that voice is very often much stronger than the body.
Yeah.
But often in our head comes from all the stuff like in our past. So it comes from all our, judgments, our thoughts, things that have happened in our past.
Yep.
And our head is
Fears,
designed to,
trauma.
yeah, definitely. And our head is designed to keep us safe, but sometimes it's overprotective because of all that stuff that's happened in our past.
Oh.
Whereas when you connect to your body, I think it's also almost more authentic because your body is just in the present. Your body doesn't really know about time. It's just like what is so right now? What do I want right now? What do I need right now? Do I need a hug right now? Do I need some connection to the heart? Do I need a touch? Like
I
your
do need a
body
massage, I think.
your
Listening.
body has this wisdom in it that it knows what it needs.
Mm.
And even when you're working with people with trauma, like very often that trauma can be healed sometimes from a head point of view, but also we store that trauma in our bodies as well. And
Yeah.
so it's connecting often to that where that's stored in our bodies and actually asking our bodies, what does it need right now?
Hmm.
So I think this connection to our bodies is huge, and people don't realize it.
So can you give me an example? Maybe you could give us a little exercise to try that.
Oh, I'd love to. Yes. Yeah, a little example is that one of the first exercises when I work with people, I get them to work with their hands. Their hands, multiple reasons. Our hands are quite a safe area, so they're, very often we don't get triggered by touching our hands, although that's not always the case. Um, but also, our hands have got millions of receptors in them. Did you know that?
No.
They have receptors, that pleasure receptors that connect directly to the brain. But we don't use them like that because we're so busy picking things up and putting things down. We don't actually feel in our hands.
Mm.
So, one of the exercises I often do, which actually originated with a woman called Betty Martin, is called Waking Up the Hands. And this is just a process of touching and exploring your hands.
And we're
And
gonna do it right now.
we're going to do it and
Oh,
feel
okay, people,
into the
people, join us, join us. Yes.
sensations. Yes, try this at home. This is a nice one you can try at home by yourself. So, first of all, just maybe for a moment, we've probably got, I'll just do it for about 5 minutes, but for a moment, just maybe going inside and just centering yourself, whatever that looks like for you, just calming yourself, noticing feelings and sensations in
I
your
close my eyes.
body. You can close your eyes if you want.
Okay.
You don't have to, but you can. Yeah. And maybe taking a couple of deep breaths. And then when you're ready, you can keep your eyes closed or open them while we do the exercises. Just bringing your hands together and just starting to explore your hands by moving, touching,
Oh, that's nice.
isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Maybe just staying silent for a little while and just noticing, what are you
Oh,
feeling?
this is really fun.
Just slowing down. Maybe noticing, can you go like so slow that you can barely move?
So going slow.
Yeah. The slower you go, the more you feel generally. You can touch using different parts of your hands, so your fingers, your fingertips, your palms, maybe doing a variety of types of touches like caresses, light strokes. Noticing what it feels like in your body, what feelings and sensations are present. Maybe exploring parts of your hand you maybe never touch. The lines on your hands, in between your fingers.
This is amazing. I'm discovering so much. I don't think I've ever really touched this part like this. Oh my God. And like before I was feeling like they're like hugging each other. I was about to start crying.
Yeah, it actually can be really emotional.
Yeah. Wow. Weird.
Maybe on the backs of the hands, you might notice that one hand can give and the other can receive.
Oh, they're spooning.
Mm,
Mm, this is really neat.
Isn't it?
Gosh, I could do that to fall asleep, like just to calm myself down.
Yeah, a lot of people who I do exercises like this with share that they sleep so well after doing it.
I think I used to do that with my feet when I was a kid, just like touch my feet
Mm.
until I fell asleep.
In some of the exercises I do, we do go through the whole of the body, including the feet. It's
Wow.
beautiful.
So cool.
So, should we bring that to a close?
Hmm.
Maybe just spending a moment again inside, just noticing what you've learnt. You might want to, yeah, good. And you might want to think about, it's a really good time to also think about what you might, if you might want to take something into your life that you've learned.
So cool. I want to be more kind to myself the way that my hands could be kind to one another.
That's beautiful. And when you're ready, you can bring yourself back.
That was amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm so happy it's recorded. I hope someone can try it.
So very often this exercise is done doing a bit longer. So you can do it with how I teach it is you can do it for like 10, 12 minutes. So you do 5 minutes, have a break, pause, and stop and notice what you're feeling and sensations in your body, and then you do it for another 5 minutes. And if you do that for over a week or so, you'll notice how alive and the sensations in your hands really change and come alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Phew. It's some sort of like subconscious yoga. You know how like after yoga, my mom was telling me this morning that
Yeah.
like she's a yoga teacher, so she did a lot of yoga, and today she feels amazing. And there's
Mm.
something like emotional, physical that my hands just feel really cool right now.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of similarities. If you do yoga properly, I mean, some of our yoga is very much exercise driven, but actually yoga is a mindful practice traditionally. So there is a lot of similarities actually.
Wow, I'm getting so much from this. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm conscious I think we have to finish up soon, don't we?
Yeah, let's say like 5, 10 minutes.
Um, so yeah, so what else could I add? Really, yeah, so this is part of the journey that I take women on. So we start with doing some simple stuff like that. We then look at the whole consent thing, because of course, when you're touching your body, we want you to be able to really feel into yourself. What does your body want? And very often we can have this experience of being done to, like we've had experiences of where we've said yes to stuff, or we've ignored what our body wants and gone ahead with stuff. So I think consent is a really powerful piece, so we do a lot of work on that. And then we go into more full body type stuff, like I was
So when
saying.
you
That
say consent, it's a lot of communication with the other person, or just knowing to say what.
I think it starts off with communicating with yourself,
Oh,
actually. So learning to notice what your body wants, what your body does your body want a hug? Does your body want to be touched? You know, are you aware when your body is saying yes and no? There are
mm,
feelings in our bodies that we feel when we know there's a no, and sometimes we ignore it.
yeah,
So a lot of this is your connection to yourself. And then when you have that connection to yourself, it's easier to express that
yeah,
because you're in congruence with yourself. You're connected and authentic with what you really want.
yeah,
So that is a really big piece of what we do. And then we go on to sort of like the more touching the body. And that's not necessarily from a sexual point of view. It's actually just that connection to what you've just done with your hands, like experiencing loving and connecting to your body. You can
yeah.
do this anywhere, right? Your arms, your shoulders. We work with the head. And then also part of the last part, which I won't go into too much because I know this is PG, but we do also then start to look at women's sexuality, like pleasure with their genitals, and actually looking at connecting. Are you connected in that area too? Because very often we're not. We're disconnected from our genitals.
Wow,
So that's why I like to do it over 12 weeks. I think it's a real journey and learning and exploring and trusting you and your body. Like this
wow,
isn't about me telling you anything. This is about you experiencing it so that you can trust your own body and have
yeah,
that power when you know that something's right for you or not.
wow. Thank you. Oh my God. And so we're gonna have links right here below.
Mhm.
If people want to reach out to Melanie. When is your next program starting?
So my next program starts on the 27th of May, and I'll put a link to that too, and I'll put a link to my website as well. So if anyone wants to reach out to me directly as well, and as I said, I do one-to-one sessions, but also I've got this program specifically for women.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. And you can take that and do that exercise now anywhere, like that
Yeah,
touch one in your hands. You can do it on the train, you can do it, before an interview, whatever. It's like it makes a huge difference.
yeah. It's really soothing.
Mm.
We have one question that we like to ask everybody on PosiFest. And
Yes.
that's like you know, because we have people who, like yourself, like do extraordinary things in the world, and some of us, including myself, the viewer or just me, are like, oh my gosh, they're just too incredible. So the question is kind of, making you occur more as a human, and um,
Mm.
and the question is really, what's your advice for yourself looking back? And some people like would say, I wish I was more courageous, or I would just tap myself on the shoulder or whatever. But yeah, what would be your advice for yourself looking back?
What, to when I was younger, you mean?
Whenever, it could be last year,
Yeah.
it could be when you were younger.
I think, for me, I spent far too long in relationships that just weren't working because I um, didn't love myself. In fact, I had a lot of self-worth issues. Like I didn't think I deserved love. Um, and because of that, I stayed in relationships that I wasn't happy in and put up with a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have put up with. So for me, this is one of my big whys now about doing this work is like, actually, I wish I'd known some of this stuff so much earlier. And actually, that I want everyone to know this. Like, if you connect to your body, it would make such a difference in the world. Like, imagine everyone connected to their heart and their body. It would be a very different world. And so, and in individuals, it would. I think people would be so much happier in themselves and in their relationships. So
Yeah.
that's 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 me, and I wish I'd done that earlier. That's all. And now probably the lesson to myself is to remember to be doing that all the time. I don't do it as much as I could, and I think it's I'd love doing sessions for people because then I have to do it for me too. Like it's like,
Yeah.
and it reminds you, oh my God, my body wants that touch and that love.
Uh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is just so beautiful and enriching, and I feel more alive. Um,
Mm.
so,
Good. That's the point.
so thank you so much. I'm just so excited to share this and your work. Um,
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
It's a real honor to be speaking to you today. I love getting this message out there, so thank you.
yeah, and uh, I just kind of want to make your workshop. I'll be in touch.
You're very welcome to come along.
Mm. All right, so with a blessing to everybody, take this workshop. But yeah, take what works for you, and yeah, and thanks for being with us. Really, really thank you.
And have a beautiful day, everyone.